It's our 2026 Chicago White Sox preview up next on Fantasy Baseball Today. Welcome to On the Beat, our mini team preview series here at Fantasy Baseball Today. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Chuck Garfien, a White Sox anchor, reporter, and podcaster at the Chicago Sports Network. Make sure to give him a follow on X at Chuck Garfien. And we actually recorded a few weeks ago. It was ready to publish, and then everything changed. Luis Robert got traded. The team signed Sir Anthony Dominguez. So it's take two. Let's take a look at this offseason. They were very busy in the Japanese market. They brought in slugger Munetaka Murakami on a 2-year deal. They signed former Major League pitcher Anthony Kay, who also is coming back from Japan on a 2-year deal. They signed pitcher Sean Newcomb. Sounds like the plan is to give him a shot in the rotation. And as I just mentioned, the big news, they traded Luis Robert over to the Mets for Luis Angel Acuna. They signed Sir Anthony Dominguez to be their closer. So, with all that being said, Chuck, what do you think of the White Sox offseason now?
All right, well, let me just begin by saying, all right, after we record this, you need to publish it right away.
Right away, yeah.
You can't wait to see if, because they might make another move, and then we got to do this all over again. Right. But the question was, what do I think about the moves they've made?
Yeah.
So I think collectively, this is a great offseason. I don't want to say great. A very good offseason that could turn out to be great. How about we say that? Tough to predict what might happen with a lot of these guys, but they didn't have Steve Cohen type money to spend. They didn't have Dodger money to spend. So Chris Getz in the front office has been very, very specific in what they're looking for, what they're targeting, and under the circumstances, and obviously with trading Luis Robert Jr., now they have extra money to spend. I think they've been very calculated. I like these moves. Would I have liked bigger names? Of course I would, but I don't think this is not the time for this rebuilding team to really make the big moves that I think they want to make going forward in the future. But for now, this offseason, it's very good in my opinion.
One of the big fantasy questions we have for the White Sox this year pertains to Colson Montgomery, who had this breakout last year. Only 71 games played, but he hit 21 homers, 55 RBI, and 840 OPS. How much do you buy what Colson Montgomery did last season, and what do you see for him here in 2026?
I'm buying it. I'm totally buying it because he came up and he was hitting like gangbusters from the very beginning. So then he immediately gets on the scouting report for the opposition, and there wasn't a ton of protection around him. So they were really dialed in trying to get him out, and they couldn't. Did he have some slumps? Yes. But what he's showing me is that he has had the ability to find his way out of them. There's always the possibility for a sophomore slump. But I think Colson, what he showed me, especially when he's in AAA last year, struggling so much, they sent him to the Arizona, not even a league. They sent him to Arizona, the White Sox complex, to really just kind of restart. I think that gave him some tools that he can have in his toolbox so that, say he goes through a slump this year, and he will, all hitters do, he'll have something that he can fall back on to find his way out of it. I'm totally believing in him. What's he going to do this year? I don't know. But, I mean, he had as you said, 21 homers, 55 RBIs in 71 games in his first taste of Major League pitching. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it was a tumultuous ride throughout the minor leagues for Colson Montgomery, but like you said, when he came up last year, strikeouts were there. Those were an issue. I think they probably will continue to be. I think that's just a part of his game. But the power seems legit. He hits the ball in the air. The barrel rate was there. And some of the projection systems have Colson Montgomery hitting near 30 home runs this season, in the upper 20s. So I think that would be obviously very welcome for the White Sox and for fantasy managers alike this season.
Yeah. I mean, 21 homers in 71 games. So say he plays 144 games or 142 games, you're looking at, 42 home runs for Colson Montgomery. So that's a big number. But one thing I noticed, and I wrote this down, he had 6 walks in July. He had 6 walks in August. September, 13 walks. So that showed he more than doubled his walks, showing some plate discipline. He has plate discipline. He can draw walks. Did strike out a lot. I like you said, Ks are coming, but I think home runs and walks are as well.
Yeah, the OBP in September, 362. That would be a very, very welcome sight for the White Sox this season. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go!
Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball. Today we are here previewing the White Sox with Chuck Garfien. And honestly, one of our fantasy questions previously was about the bullpen and who might lead this team in saves. Well, I mean, sounds like it's going to be Sir Anthony Dominguez, so we don't have to reach too far on that one anymore. What about a sleeper for the White Sox this season? Who do you have?
Overall sleeper, I'm gonna go with Kyle Teel. Kyle Teel. If you were watching the White Sox last year, you're not surprised by him. But I mean, 78 games in his rookie season, he had 121 OPS plus, OBP of 375. He draws walks. He had 37 walks. Really good against righties. Really good against righties, an 835 OPS. So if you're looking for someone who can catch and hit, Kyle Teel, I think he's going to take the next step. And you know, as I looked at him at the end of the year and I talked to him about it a little bit, he lost some of his strength, some of his muscle from going through an entire season like this. So he's bulking up this offseason. So I think he'll be even stronger here in 2026. That's my sleeper for the White Sox, Kyle Teel offensively.
Really interesting skill set for fantasy too, because he runs as a catcher. That's not something we're used to seeing, right? Last year, 2 years ago, I guess now at this point, in 2024, when he was still with the Red Sox, 12 steals in the minors. Last season with the White Sox in the minor league system, 7 steals in only 50 games. So, I mean, even if we can get 10 steals out of a catcher for fantasy, I mean, that is a very unique skill set that he brings to the table here with Kyle Teel. They just want to follow up. They have Edgar Quero on the roster as well. How do you see playing time kind of playing out between those two? Do you see one of those guys playing a lot at DH as well? And do you think there's a world where both of them just play a lot for the White Sox this season, both Teel and Edgar Quero?
Yeah, this is going to be a work in progress like it was last year because Quero is a switch hitter. Teel, obviously, if there's a righty on the mound for the most part, he's going to be playing. They did play a lot at DH. They would go back and forth. But at the same time, you have Andrew Benintendi, who Will Venable has said that he's going to play left field, but also he's going to be used as a DH. Lenin Sosa, as we are taping this, is still on the team. Where is he going to play? Is he going to be taking up DH spots? So I'm not sure how this is all going to play out, but the plan is to have Quero and Teel behind the plate for the White Sox this season. But if Teel keeps hitting like that, he's going to be in the lineup as much as humanly possible. And by the way, you were talking about steals. He also is going to give you a lot of runs. And if you want to be entertained by a guy on your team, when Kyle Teel is on the base paths, he is going to do everything in his power to score. And you can see it on his face in the way that he runs. Be on the lookout for that. It's been quite entertaining to watch him run. He's like Forrest Gump out there, doing everything in his power to run as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of JT Realmuto, right? When he first came up, I mean, the athleticism that he possessed and just the ability to run the bases as a catcher, we just don't really see that very often in the game. What about a breakout for the White Sox this season?
I'm going with Munetaka Murakami. We do not know. I mean, he is a big mystery man in Major League Baseball. We do not know exactly what he's going to do, but if he does something close to, I don't want to say anything, but I mean, he's got a chance if he comes over here and he can find the power stroke like he had in Japan. That's a breakout and a half for the White Sox and for Major League Baseball. He had 56 home runs when he was 22 years old in Japan in 2022. He's got a ton of power, a lot of strikeouts, a lot of walks as well. If you were looking for someone, he's honestly, he's like kind of a sleeper breakout candidate. That's who he's kind of is both. Something to watch in spring training. Although in spring training, pitchers for the most part are not trying to get specific hitters out, but watch him in spring training. Take a close look at that, and he is someone who could be a big breakout for the White Sox.
I can tell you that the fantasy community is kind of struggling with what to do with Murakami as well for the reasons you mentioned. I think the upside is sky high. You know, I've heard people throw out high-end upside comps like Nick Kurtz. He could be a Nick Kurtz type player, the way that he impacts the ball, but the downside is if he doesn't make enough contact. If he just doesn't, if he strikes out too much, obviously the batting average could be really, really low as well. So there's a wide range here, but the upside, man, it is tantalizing with somebody like Munetaka Murakami. Big thanks to Chuck Garfien, White Sox anchor, reporter, and podcaster at the Chicago Sports Network. Make sure to give him a follow on X at Chuck Garfien. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to our On the Beat team preview series, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.